It's Brian here, and we're all on our feet. The clock is winding down, and our team is trailing by 2 points in the decisive game of the playoff series. The point guard brings the ball up the court and passes to the open man. The three-point shot is up, and it's good! The crowd erupts. Strangers embrace. Half-consumed soda cups rain down on the audience. After the game, your phone is blowing up. Why are your friends calling and texting you? Because you were there. You witnessed something amazing. Well, history is full of amazing, exciting, groundbreaking, tumultuous, and tragic events. And someone was there to witness each of these events. Through the lens of history and the accounts of these people, we are going to witness a lot of events together. Are you ready? Today's essential questions are: what are primary and secondary sources? What are the benefits and limitations of each? And what questions should you ask yourself when examining a source? Don't forget to have your PDF ready, and if you haven't completed the preview section, go ahead and pause right here and fill it out. Okay, let's get to it. So what can you tell your friends about the game? You can share sights, sounds, smells, and what it feels like for a cup of stray soda to spill all over you. You, my friend, can provide a primary source. What's a primary source? It's an original first-hand account or artifact. Primary sources include many news articles, photos, videos, audio, artifacts, art, diaries, letters, census data, and surveys. So then, what is a secondary source? It's a source that's not original. It was created by someone who did not witness the event or topic. Instead, secondary sources are created using primary sources. Examples include most nonfiction books, historical journals and commentaries, and documentaries. Now, see if you can identify whether the following are primary or secondary sources. After each example, pause the video and make a choice in your PDF. Let's say you go to the Louvre in Paris to see the Mona Lisa. Is this a primary or secondary source? If you said primary source, you're right. You've got Leonardo da Vinci's original masterpiece right in front of you. And a couple hundred other people and their cameras. But what about this picture of the Mona Lisa? The original is not right in front of you, in your house, or else you'd be a gazillionaire right now. Is it still a primary source? Yes, it is. While it may not be the same as seeing the Mona Lisa with 200 of your closest friends at the Louvre, you are still viewing an accurate representation of the original work of art. Next one, The Diary of Anne Frank. Same answer. It's a primary source. A published copy counts. You're still reading Anne's words. How about a modern book about the history of medieval Japan? Medieval Japan ended several hundred years ago, so it's a secondary source. What about a memoir written by an author later in life, recalling experiences from their childhood? Well, even though it was written much later, this author still experienced the events, so it's a primary source. Finally, how about a world history video on Mia Plaza, narrated by me, about the French Revolution? That is, of course, a secondary source. Wait, did you say primary source? That would make me over 200 years old. Hey, that's not nice. How'd you do? If you missed some, don't worry, at least your team didn't miss that final shot. So, what do you think is a better resource for determining what actually happened in history? A primary or a secondary source? Pause the video and respond in your PDF, and make sure to explain your answer. If you said primary source, you're right. And if you said secondary source, you're also right. Everyone's a winner! Or, wait, does that actually mean that you're wrong? Well, never mind. Why? Well, one is not necessarily better than the other. Both provide value depending on your research goal. Now, let's hear your thoughts. What are some advantages of primary sources? How about secondary sources? Let's go over our answers, and feel free to add to your list. First, primary sources help you to visualize an event or topic. Seeing the Mona Lisa is better than reading a written description of the Mona Lisa, right? And an unedited video or photograph is about as close as you can get to witnessing an event without actually being there. Second, they provide a raw and unfiltered version of the event or topic. It has not been interpreted, influenced, or revised after the fact. As the old saying goes, it's straight from the horse's mouth. Additionally, they lend a voice to different perspectives. Now, perspectives are inherently biased. Think about how a fan of the losing team would describe that same basketball game you were at. But these perspectives are still valuable as they enable a third-party observer to witness the human experience during a time being studied. Now, what about secondary sources? First of all, they can provide more historical context than a primary source. While a letter from a Civil War soldier helps you to get a glimpse of the human experience of the war, major questions may be left unanswered. Which sides are fighting and why? Where and when is the war taking place? Who won? Secondary sources answer these questions. Next, secondary sources may also provide updated information. In 1824, physicist Joseph Fourier calculated that based on Earth's size and distance from the Sun, it should be much colder. Good to know. However, supplementing his comments with more recent findings about the greenhouse effect would likely prove to be more rewarding. Finally, they allow for expert analysis. Maybe nothing beats seeing the Mona Lisa for yourself, but it's also valuable to consider an art historian's commentary on the importance of the Mona Lisa to the Renaissance era and future works of art. Now, let's examine a source and ask some important questions as we go. You can find these questions printed for you in your PDF. We'll take you back to 1837. A movement to abolish slavery is gaining momentum in America. Senator John C. Calhoun delivers an impassioned speech on the Senate floor. In it, Calhoun maintains that slavery is a positive good for the nation. Disgusted, you could immediately dismiss this source based on the speaker's message. But wait, we are simply observing here, gaining an understanding of a time in history. So, first ask, who created this source? Well, it's Senator Calhoun, an enslaver of 80 African Americans. Why was this source created? Whether or not Calhoun would have admitted it, he was likely motivated by the fact that he personally made a lot of money off this form of human exploitation. Who was the intended audience? He was trying to persuade his fellow members of Congress to keep the institution of slavery alive. What does this source reveal about the circumstances surrounding it? Well, you find out that a considerable amount of tension over slavery existed in America. And even if you identify the explicit bias in this speech, it can still help you to have a fuller understanding of why the Civil War occurred. Finally, what limitations does this source have? A source rarely, if ever, provides a complete picture of an event or topic. It's just one piece of the puzzle. In order to understand America's road to the Civil War, you'd want to consider a variety of sources, both primary and secondary. In this course, historians, source analysis will be a tool you will use often. In future PDF activities, you'll be examining quotes, images, data, text excerpts, and more. Each time you do, refer back to the skills you learned in this installation of Historian's Toolbox. And just think, when your friends ask you about the playoff game, the Taylor Swift concert, or even the epic bonfire at summer camp, yep, you are creating a primary source. And remember, folks, history is everywhere.
Hey, hey.